All right. Well, we're here at the top of the hour, Dr. Hines. So we'll have people probably trickle in and join us as we get going. But one thing that we like to do here at OurClub.tech is we like to be punctual. It's
Always
one
be
of our
punctual.
always be punctual. It's one of our very important habits. So those of
Right.
you that were here last week, welcome back. Those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. We're so glad to have you here. I'm Brian Wilson, and as always, I am joined by the esteemed Dr. Doug Hines. So we are excited to get started on our happy half hour today here. So let's see here. What are we going to do this week, Doug? We've got a half hour with people. So one of the things that I thought last week, we talked a lot about our club, and we talked about joining, what's it about, things that we're doing, et cetera, et cetera. So this week I thought it'd really be good to just do kind of a deep dive, so to speak, into some of the science behind it. So this week I'd like for us to talk about some behavioral change and the science behind that. And as normal, you and I, and hopefully we kind of set the tone for OurClub.tech. But we like to keep these webinars light and fun, and I hope that everybody on the webinar with us enjoys it as well. But more importantly, there's a reason we're here. We're not just here because we have all this free time. We want to help each person engage their mind to the possibilities of actually a better you.
Right.
Whether or not you're a coach or a coachee, whether you're a manager or an employee, or if you're just someone who is looking for self-improvement, and that's how you found us. Someone who's looking for self-improvement and belonging. We talked a lot about that need for belonging,
Right.
Doug, last week, and it's just critical in today's world. So, but that's what we are about. So, let's jump in here. Doug, I'm going to hold up something. I don't know if the video is going to show it or not. You
Looks great.
have written many books. You are a prolific author.
Right.
But one of your best books is Life's 7 Perfect Coaches.
Right.
And in this book, and people can get that on Amazon.
Get it. Right.
You can get it on Amazon. So
when they join the club, they get it for free.
Hey, it's even better. Even better.
Autograph copy, by the way.
An autograph copy. Well, and they can come to one of our in-person meetings and maybe get an in-person autograph. That would be
good.
The
that
creme
would be
de la
great.
creme. So to speak. Well, you specifically cite William James's book from 1890, The Principles of Psychology.
Right.
Where he says habit is the flywheel of society. So I want to ask you, why did you choose that phrase? And what do you think James meant when he wrote that?
Okay, so let me start with your second question. He was basically the founder of modern psychology as we know it today. He wrote what is considered to be the first textbook in psychology, which I actually read in graduate school, and it's not easy reading. You can just tell by the cover of that book that this person is going to be lecturing you like an old school professor. But he had a chapter on habits that followed almost directly from a couple of, in fact, did follow directly from a couple of chapters on the functions of the brain. And I started my career in science working in a research lab. I was in college, a neuroscience research lab, and I actually saw surgery being conducted. I saw brains. Okay, there is a physical thing called a brain. That's where he started, and inside of that nervous system is where habits are learned. And when he said habit is the flywheel of society, he goes on to say it is the most conservative force. and it basically dooms us to to being the person that we started out to be, unless we make uh, preparation to change it. And he says that the goal is in education is to make each person's nervous system their ally in success, and that was really his focus. And when we talk about habits today, now I'm moving to the next question, which how does this really relate to the work we're doing? We see the external manifestation of habits, and I really wanted, as a scientist, wanted to figure out a way to make it easier to learn habits. And that's the patent that we hold is for a purpose. We're now calling it AMI, adaptive motivational interaction. And it's a process where over time you learn habits through a successive approximation. You get closer and closer. Punctuality is a good example. You get some of our users, they got to 100% that they were always punctual. And so that's the importance of habit. It makes you, it frees you really from being enslaved by poor discipline in your life.
Absolutely. And I think a fascinating thing that you mentioned. Well, first of all, I'm not going to let something skip here. I always learn something new when we do these about you and about your experience. You actually saw brain surgery?
Yes, so I don't want to go too much into this in this call, but it was a great opportunity. I was studying psychology in college, and I got to work in a laboratory of neurological sciences of Friends of Psychiatric Research, and the director was Perry Black of Johns Hopkins University, a very famous psychiatrist and neurosurgeon. And I'm going to do this. I probably should tell one story about Dr. Black. So I was just a kid. I was only 17, and they're hiring me for a pretty responsible research position. And basically, I was training rhesus monkeys, and there was a lot involved in that. You had to do it correctly, and you had to tell the truth about the results. So I come into this man's prestigious office, and he's a psychiatrist, and he looks me in the eye and says, "Let me begin with one question. Do you lie?" I don't know if you've ever been asked that, the folks in the audience. And I said, almost never. That was the truth.
Uh-huh.
And he knew that was the truth. And so that's sort of my foundation, working with that team of scientists as a kid. I was 17. So it's like a lot of stories about the niche competencies I've acquired over the years. But at one point, I knew really quite a bit about the anatomy of the human brain and what parts of the brain did what. I have a model of the brain in my office.
Well, that is fascinating, and I love that story. But getting back to what you talked about with the habit, I think it is really critical. The point that you made that we develop, whether or not we know it or not, we develop habits,
right.
And those habits control us to an extent.
That's correct.
And it is possible to learn new habits.
That's correct.
And to change. Now,
that is correct.
There is an adage, me having had a significant birthday recently, where some people say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but you say that's fallacy.
Couldn't be more wrong.
Anybody can learn a new habit.
That's correct. If they want to. That is the key. And back to William James a little bit. So this chapter on habits comes right on the heels of a discussion of the brain as it was understood in 1890. And then, but there's a subsequent chapter on the self-image and self-concept. And he comes back to the idea that your concept of yourself is critical in in determining to some degree where you go, and you can change that also. And that's in our app, as you know. I'm not plugging the app really. I'm just making a point. We begin with the self-awareness snapshot, and the first question is, "Who am I?" Now, I've administered this app. I've gone over this app in person with dozens of audiences, and I watch people try to answer that question, and they look up into the sky. I say, and then inevitably somebody will ask, "Well, for work, for school, with my friends," answer the question right now with the first thing that comes to your mind, because that's the truth. That's what you think you are. Now that changes from day to day, and there's a lot of really good inspirational work on the subject of self-concept. And this on your significant birthday, you can change your self-concept, you can change your habits, because to a large degree, these are under your own control if you let that be the case. And so that is really what our Perfect Coaches is about. It's about a person creating an environment inside of themselves, having the right behavioral focus, having the right mindfulness of what they want to do and who they want to be, because they're the same to some degree. And that's really when we're working with coaches, we're giving them this, we consider a very advanced, scientifically designed tool. We're giving the coaches this tool to work with their clients and do it the right way. How many times do people have to New Year's resolutions? We did a presentation once on New Year's resolutions. Nobody ever keeps them.
Nobody keeps them, and they're usually dropped by the end of January.
It's like a gym membership. You're wasting your money by the third week of January. So
that's right.
But we did a little experiment, and it wasn't scientific. I consider myself a scientist. I'm a member of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, but I've done a lot of little experiments with this that were not scientific. But people that sort of the control group, remind yourself every day of what this habit is, and keep it simple so you can think about it all day. Now we have the Apple Watch is joining our joining our arsenal of technologies to enable this kind of habit formation to take place. And if let's say, for example, if doing your to-do list is the habit you want to learn, and I recommend that to every single person I've ever dealt with before I even had this app. You got to do your to-do list. You got to begin the day knowing what you plan to do, and you can just check in with your coach. Say, "Yeah, I got that done." The coach. Yep. It is as you know, because we've discussed this a lot, getting ready to launch this product into the Apple Watch world. We think this is just the best way to sustain mindfulness, is to have an easy way to remind yourself of what you're trying to do.
That's right. That's right. And, it reminds me, there is, and I don't know to whom this is attributed, but I know there's an ancient Far East proverb. It basically says the journey of 1,000 steps begins with either the first step or a single step. So, right. You can get to where you're going. You right. just have to, like you said, you have to want to make that change. So that's right. So William James, all the way back from 1890.
Yes,
you're not getting that on any other webinar. I'm telling you that right now. You're not going to get
somebody that's read it twice. I have it on my Kindle.
Nice. Yeah. So okay. So let's agree that habits are absolutely critical. So habits are critical. So I have a question for you, because you've taught in classrooms, in universities.
Right.
You've led teams. You've led small teams. Right. You've led big teams. You've had employees. Right. You've already built successful businesses, multiple businesses.
Right.
So you've been through a life cycle. In your opinion and in your experience, because there's no right answer here, everybody may have a different one, but in your opinion and in your experience, what would you say is the number one habit that everybody needs to be successful? You may have already given it away, but what do you think is that number one habit that everybody needs?
As the other participants may anticipate, we've discussed this. And the number one habit is do your to-do list. And everybody says,
that sounds awfully simple.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not make a to-do list. It's do your to-do list. And I've talked to a lot of folks randomly. I'm in my condo in Florida, and they're actually restoring the beach outside today. But I'm pretty confident, and nobody can hear all the noise that's out there. And the contractor who renovated this place for me, I'm telling him about my business and Perfect Coaches and all that, and he says, "Yeah, but the entree was his problem is procrastination." He's telling me this. And I said, I can fix that for you. He said, well, good luck for that, because I can't get past it. I said, what you have to do when you think you're procrastinating, what is really the problem is you have too many things that you're planning to do and you can't do them all. So to get past the feeling that you're procrastinating, make a to-do list and do those things. And that should be a short list. I've known people I've known people in my professional life, they had a list sitting over here, that's part of their desk. Then over in their credenza, there were two more lists. And then they have a list of lists. And I'm being literally, I have a person in mind who said, well, I have a list of my lists. That's not the way to do it. You start out saying, this is what I'm going to do. And if it's something that's going to take months and has multiple steps, then you have to say, okay, this is the part of this I'm going to get done today.
I remember at one point in my career, Doug, where someone recommended to me the list, and I've been following it to an extent, but they basically said every day or every night, every day when you wake up or every night before you go to bed, you should create your list.
Right.
And on that list, to your point earlier, there should not be more than 20 things, because you're not going to accomplish 20 things in a day. But what you do is you focus on the top 3 to 5 that need to get done.
That is exactly right.
And then at the end of the day or the beginning of the next day, you rewrite the list, because you may have new things that have come on.
That's correct.
You
always have an agenda for yourself. Each and every day you have an agenda for your day. Now, we're trying to keep this light, and this is supposed to be funny and may not be funny. One of our best practices in the healthy living skill set is ABZ. Allocate your bedroom for sleeping. Z's, ABZ. So if you follow that habit, you're not going to work on your to-do list before you go to bed, because it's going to start you thinking, and you actually don't want to think. And you don't want to have, and if you do your if you do your list on your phone, oh my God, there's a phone. You should never have the phone in the bedroom turned on, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm saying this lightheartedly. You want to do it at the beginning of the day, and then you want to check in throughout the day. That's another thing we recommend to people. And you'd be surprised that you can learn that habit. We have a habit. Do your to eat list, where you start out at the beginning of the day with a list of what you're going to eat and where and when. And people say, well, that's too hard to do. But not really. It's surprising. But anyhow, it's making a list that you will go through and get it done. And you can feel good. As you know, we've known many list makers in our career, or we may be living with some, and our intimate family. It feels so good to check off every one of those. And I draw a line through
mine. Absolutely.
Every day.
So can we keep lists with Amy? So
the answer is yes. The way Amy interacts with you, Amy isn't making your to-do list. you select the behavior, do your to-do list, and as your goal, and then you check in with Amy, adaptive motivational interaction, and that's basically designed to have a Socratic dialogue. Amy really only asks questions, and the questions are about why you did or did not get. What are the triggers and reinforcers that are driving your behavior, right? So Amy will you have a conversation, and when the days you don't get things done, she'll help you understand, well, why didn't I get that done? The An apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? I've helped people focus on that habit. And I said, look, you're not going to do it every day. You're going to miss it someday, and you want to know why that happens. And then you want to not let it happen. And it's usually, you know what I do? I grab it on the way out of the house, and I forget. Well, then put it in your car. You know, that's the function of Amy, is to help you understand the triggers and reinforcers that are actually driving your behavior. And circling back to William James, let me just say this: there's a nostalgia. We're going to talk about belonging, I think, later in this call. There's a nostalgia movement that's out there, and all you have to do is read what a psychologist had to say in 1890, or Sigmund Freud came later. There's a lot of things we can do in modern life that they couldn't do then that will help us, and this technology is one of them. It's convenient, it's easy to use. You don't have to do a whole lot of thinking. So but make sure I've answered your question. Amy just helps you understand why you did or did not do your to-do list, and remedy that behaviorally. It's usually the triggers that get in your way for that.
And part of becoming better, or part of developing a new habit, is being able to identify those triggers.
That's correct.
That cause that behavior.
That's correct.
Or
and the science behind this, I have a blog post at OurClub.tech. The science behind this is the science of operant learning. And I always have to be careful when I use these examples. But if you've ever raised children, if you've ever trained a pet, you know how that works, basically. The reward they're going to get is a trigger for them performing some behavior or another. And then they get the reward. So there's a trigger, a stimulus that causes the behavior to take place. And then there's a reward, a reinforcer that sustains the behavior. And you can see that all the time, but it's also true of us, of you. It's true of you. And one of the things that's fun about Amy, you can treat Amy as your confidant and just grouse, basically, and vent to this robot, and she'll listen, and she'll ask you a question that will surprise you. You know, I have this challenge in my life about the weather. I have an office in Washington, D.C. My family's all in Maryland and DC, and I want to be there. But hey, look, I don't know what it is up there today, but I can tell you right now, it's up to 70 again down here. And I have this challenge in my life of deciding what to do, where I'm going to be, and I complain to Amy, and she sort of helps me understand. Well, the reason why you're doing this is because your family's here. And yes, it's cold, but that's the reason. So,
well, that's fascinating. So, to do your to-do list, in your opinion, is the number one habit. So, if people are struggling out there, just doing their to-do list, what is the one action, Doug, you would tell them? Take this action today to take that first step along that 1,000-step journey.
Okay. I've sort of intimated.
Other than join us at our club.
Other than use Amy.
Which should be the first step. Other than doing that, what is the first step that they should take for that habit?
Make a to-do list that is short.
Okay.
that you know you'll be able to do. And you'll get the set. So the reinforcement of that comes with doing your to-do list will be delivered quickly. In you think of it as a journey. Your journey to getting this habit really down pat begins with just doing even 2 or 3 things and feeling how good it is, and then add a fourth and maybe a fifth, and then you learn what how what size should the behavior be, or the thing that you want to get done. What size should that be on your list? Is it something simple? You know, go out and jog every morning. That's simple enough. You can make it complicated and ruin everything. Well, but I'm going to go this route, this day, this that. So the first thing you do is make the list and keep it short.
Keep it
And
short.
and
Keep it
and
short.
and then add to it until you get to the place where you are skillfully uh, managing your time.
Yeah.
To-do lists are the most humble yet powerful time management device there is. And again, Brian, you and I have worked for big consulting companies, and we've seen people with all kinds of I don't want to use the word crazy, but it's all kinds of elaborate schemes to manage their time. And when I was managing people, consultants with master's degrees, MBAs, so these are not people who haven't accomplished anything. Look, just keep it simple. Get these 3 things done. And in that business, the consulting business, as you know, if you're somebody who doesn't do their to-do list, if you're somebody who doesn't get their assignments, then the next thing you know, your to-do list is going to be checking the want ads.
That's right.
You see,
If your to-do list is all of a sudden real short on a project,
yeah. We'll get up in the morning, get a cup of coffee, and because there are no want ads anymore.
The next button is the eject button. That's right.
We've done a couple of videos that when the Perfect Coaches website, reenactments of people of someone getting their performance review, and they come in. It's a very cute video. They come in and I'm sitting there. I've got a suit on. This person comes in, sort of playing the role of a millennial.
Yeah,
that's not exactly right. And
well, Doug, one of the things that I love about these happy half hours is it's not just it's not just talking about kind of the academia or the ethereal. It is actual tangible actions that people can take to help them get better. And listen, if people just start with that short, do your to-do list, make a short list, then the next time that we talk and we come back and we have our next webinar, which will be in 2 weeks, we want everybody to join. They're going to be excited and they're going to be ready. And so, you know, we were punctual when we started, Doug. We want to be punctual when we end. We want to respect everybody's time. And so we are almost at the end of our happy half hour. And as a reminder, you can join us in OurClub.tech. We offer 2 distinct levels of membership. The first level is the Adventure Clubhouse, which we went over last week. The second is the more senior level, Leadership Clubhouse, where the membership is by application and approval. And so you can find out more about these options at our website, OurClub.tech. You can follow this link here to join. We have a 50% off discount for people right now that join today. So take advantage of that. And don't forget to follow us and like us on social media. On wherever you are, you can find us. And so, Doug, any last thing you want to say before we wrap up today?
Get ready for a happy holiday season, because there is a behavior, I keep plugging Perfect Coaches, please forgive me, called do happy. And there's a thing that you can do every day. Do one thing just because it feels good every single day. And this holiday season that's coming up, that's the time to do it. One thing every day, just because it feels good.
Well, that's great. Well, listen, until next time, everybody, this is Brian and Doug. We're signing off, and we will see you at our next happy hour. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.